On this episode of Locked On Lightning, the Lightning proved once again why they are still the top dogs, why they are the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions, why they are one of the most dynamic teams in all of hockey. Stealing game two within the final seconds on a late thriller, in a thriller from Ross Colton. Ross the Boss, the playoff hero. We talk all that and more, but first, let's play that music.
You're Locked On Lightning, your daily podcast on the Tampa Bay Lightning. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome to another episode of Locked On Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Adam Danker. What's up, everybody? And if you're listening to us, watching us, whatever, whether it's your morning, afternoon, or night, I would like to thank you for making us your first listen of the day or your first watch if you're watching us on YouTube. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the pod. We are available wherever podcasts are distributed, as well as go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is blowing up. We're up to 60 followers, and listen, that might not seem like a lot, but listen, we can make it a lot. We can make it to 100, we can make it to 1,000 and more. We just need you to put in a little work, and you won't regret it. So on this episode of Locked On Lightning, we're talking about the thriller in Sunrise. I'm going to put my stamp on that. That's what it's called, because Ross Colton proving as to why he is one of the fastest rising superstars. Yes, I called him that, a superstar in the NHL, scoring a goal to give the Lightning the lead within the last 4 seconds of the game. Just an incredible all-around game within this one. There was moments where the Lightning seemed to have been playing on their heels, but really when you come down to it, if you want to really just sum up how this game went, and we'll talk about some of the moments that I think really helped the Lightning. I wouldn't say tiptoe, because I feel like that is understating the contributions, but I would say more so walk their way, I guess, because listen, on past episodes, I've spoken about how important it is for this Lightning team to not play for the big moments. Now, obviously, you want to score as many goals as possible. Not every game is going to be as high scoring as it was in the first couple of games that we saw in the Toronto series. Not every game is going to be as high scoring as it was the other night in that Calgary-Edmonton game. That was a wild one. But the Lightning, and I've stressed this enough, because they are fully capable of it. We have seen them do this over the last couple of years with 2 cups to count for. We've seen them do the little things right, do what I like to call, you kind of use the term in baseball, small ball, little things. When you talk about small ball, you're bunting, you're running, you're doing all the little things right, the things that they teach you from day one. And at times during the season and at times during that Toronto series, you saw the Lightning get away from the little things. There was moments, there was flashes that we saw where this Tampa team really did a fantastic job of doing all the little things right, scrapping for the puck along the boards, playing very disciplined all throughout the 200 feet of the ice, as well as really doing a good job within the neutral zone and playing physical and picking their spots to really, whether it be go into the offensive zone, cycle the puck, or go in there and turn it into a track race and try and beat the goaltender on a quick shot. And you saw that a lot in this game. Now, it wasn't pretty in the stat sheet if you want to look at it that way. Shots on net, they were outshot in this one, 37-27. The Lightning didn't hit the 20 shot mark until the third period, which, listen, as long as you're playing good hockey, I don't care. I think a good sweet spot for Tampa, because let's face it, I don't think that they're this high explosive offensive team that we saw 3 years ago, the same team that won the President's Trophy and had an early exit. But at the same time, the thing that separates them is that their ability to do so if they need to be, as well as their ability to play defense. And the one stat, the one quote that has really stuck out to me, and if you don't follow me on Twitter or the show, please go ahead and do that. I tweeted out, and my Twitter is dankydank, DNKYDANK, and the show is LO_lightning on Twitter. I tweeted out a very nice quote from John Cooper in the pregame, where he said it's not about the amount of pucks you put in the back of the net. It's about the amount you keep out. And I said, if the Lightning win their third straight Stanley Cup, I will get that tattooed somewhere on my body. If that does happen, we will have you do a poll of where on my body you would like to see it. Well, like to see it get it tatted within reason. But fantastic job in this one, and the Lightning did exactly that, as that quote states. They did a very good job of limiting the opportunities. Even though the Panthers had 37 shots on goal, the Lightning did a very good job limiting their chances, as well as just once again frustrating this team on special teams. 0 for 4 for the Panthers, have yet to score a power play goal within the playoffs. So fantastic way to kind of play sort of a mind game with your team, where with the opposing team, where you're able to basically say, whether it's intended or not. You know what? We don't mind going on the power play 4 times, but you're not going to score. And I've spoken about this on past episodes, in the last 2 playoff runs, where I said that the PK and doing the little things such as the PK and taking care of the puck and playing that game within the game is something that really goes a long way for you and will play in your favor down the road as you get deeper into the playoffs. And really, one last thing I want to add before we head into our first break is that I was speaking with, you may have remembered, when I went to the Lightning game, the last game of the season in New York. We met up with a couple of fans, and I've managed to keep in touch with them since then. And we were going back and forth, one of our listeners and I, and I was just saying how it is almost surprising that the Lightning played this well this early on, because there's a lot of people on Twitter and social media that are already saying, well, the Panthers are choking. They're not living up to the expectations of what you kind of figured was going to happen. Kind of an impressive season during the regular season, pretty much dominating the NHL throughout the entire season, and then going into the playoffs, playing a very tight series with Washington, which is, I think, something a lot of people didn't expect to happen. And then they come into this series and they lose 2 straight to the defending Cup champions. And yeah, you could look at it that way, as them choking, but you got to really look and dissect. And this goes into what I said with one of our listeners, is that you got to look at this performance and really and as well as game 1, you got to give a lot of credit to the Lightning, because it is very surprising for them to play this discipline, this very, very good all around fine-tuned championship caliber hockey. Because really, what I've spoken about it throughout the season, we've seen flashes here and there, and granted, it is very hard to replicate this high level of hockey through an 82 game season. But the only times where I have seen the Lightning play hockey at this highest of level, where they have matched the team punch for punch, not only in the score sheet, but just on the ice in the little battles and in the little game within the game, were when they beat Dallas and Montreal to get their cups. And if you don't believe me, go back and watch some of the highlights from those series, or go back and watch a game or so. Even in the games in which the Lightning lost, the Lightning did a fantastic job. And maybe I'm not getting too ahead of myself, because the Lightning still have another round to play before we even discuss. Well, they still got to win this one, but they have another round to play to where we even have this conversation of them being able to sustain that. But really very good sign from this team playing the way they did tonight, playing physical, not doing too much, not playing out of what they are capable of, given a lot of players heading back and forth to the dressing room, getting stitched up. We'll talk about all of that in a second. But first, I want to talk about one of our first sponsors of the day and then take a break. Our first sponsor of the day is Built Bar. Now, anybody that has followed the Lightning over the last couple of seasons knows that these are strenuous games. You got to go into each game. You might not be able to leave the couch, especially in the third period. Not a lot of commercial breaks there. But listen, if you're looking for a snack that is not only tasty, but also healthy, Built Bar is the snack for you, because guess what? Not only do they taste good, but they have tons of flavors to choose from, as well as they only have 140 calories and only 7 grams of sugar. They came out with a bunch of new puffs. The brownie batter puffs will have you completely forgetting that you are eating a protein bar. No need to pinch yourself. This is real life. Go to built.com and get that brownie batter puffs right now. And go to built.com. Use that promo code LOCK15. You'll get 50% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at built.com. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you're staying right here. If you're listening to us on audio platform, you're coming back from the break right now. And really, before we get into it, make sure to like and subscribe to the pod. Give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. We appreciate all the enthusiasm that you have been showing the show thus far. Before we get into some of the injuries and what, I mean, everybody came back from their respective, ding-ups, if you want to call them, or whatever. A lot of trips made in this very physical game. Like I said, almost 90 hits in the game. One of the trips to the dressing room was totally self-inflicted. But we got to talk about Ross Colton. Just like I said, continues to impress, continues to do a fantastic job of on a nightly basis of showing everybody that the moment is never too big for this guy. If you followed this team last year, everybody started to learn about Ross Colton. I mean, if you were just a general hockey fan last year and didn't jump on the Lightning bandwagon just yet, Ross Colton only played 9 games during the regular season and then came into the playoffs and really came into his own. Had 4 goals and 6 points last year, and then capped that off with a game-winning goal in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals to beat the Montreal Canadiens. And then went on this season, had a fantastic year, recorded 22 goals and 39 points in 79 games with a plus-minus of 4. And in this playoffs thus far, he has been doing a great job through 8 games. He has 4 goals and 6 points. So once again, only really just replicating his total from last year. He's playing fantastic and scores a goal within the closing seconds of this one. Just doing a fantastic job. If you look at the replay or the highlight and you want to see, he was pretty far in. A very, very good job on his part to really recognize and realize where he was and kind of move himself up, especially when really what it was a defensive breakdown from the Florida Panthers and a fantastic heads up pass from Nikita Kucherov from behind the net, almost a no look, just knowing that Ross was there. This is when when you see plays like that in the last 10 seconds or so, or whatever, how late in the game is to steal a win, especially on the road. That's when the team is feeling it. That's when guys are all on the same page, because there has been moments, and we saw it in that Toronto series, where at sometimes that this Lightning team looked for the most part in disarray. And I said as that series progressed that if the Lightning could just get by this pain in the butt Maple Leafs team, because they're a tough team, they will be so much better. And we've seen it in years past that it's almost as the tougher the opponent early on, the easier, or not easier, but the better, the higher the quality of play that you would see from this Lightning team going forward. And it almost seems as though, not to crap on any of the teams that the Lightning have played on the later rounds of the playoffs, but if you look at it, other than maybe the last 2 Eastern Conference Finals, the Lightning, as they've progressed throughout the playoffs and gotten deeper, it is really it is almost as like you're fighting in the heavyweight division and you're moving down divisions to a certain degree. as you move on. So it's one of those things where this is one of the most, and this is why I lose my mind. If you watch the show or listen to the show during the regular season, you know that I I have consistently criticized this team about consistency and just doing the little things and just playing smart heads up hockey. And it's for nights like this. The last two games against a team that no team in the NHL should take lightly. The Lightning have really done a fantastic job of still showing, and this series is far from over. So we could blink our eyes, and by Monday, this series could be tied because the Lightning and the Panthers um, are playing multiple times from now and then till then, if I'm not mistaken. If let me just double check that because I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. Yeah, they play Sunday at 1:30. Yeah, so back to back. They play back to back. I just wanted to double check. But yeah, I mean, we could blink, um, and see that this team, uh, you know, they get better as the season progresses, and there's nothing else you could ask for from a team like this. They do a fantastic job. They go out there and they just play fantastic hockey, and you could see a lot of it has to do with just the will of this team, and really what it comes down to, you saw it tonight. That will was tested consistently from puck drop, even from pregame. Now, what I'm referring to is the slew of banged up players. This team is already down bad in terms of star power without Braden Point. Now, Braden Point has been kind of slow to start the postseason. It started to seem, obviously he got that game-winning overtime goal. But really, when you look at it throughout that Toronto Maple Leaf series, he was slow, and you would have thought that something like that would have catapulted him towards, playing, getting things going, and really, it's a shame that he's gonna have to miss some time. He was highly doubtful, obviously missing game one, as well as missing time tonight, and really, it's one of those things where the Lightning, it's next man up mentality. And so you saw this tonight. Corey Perry getting hurt in pregame. Um, you seeing Brandon Hagel got banged up tonight. You saw Andre Palat absolutely getting ragdolled at certain points tonight. Eric Chernak getting banged up tonight. A lot of guys getting stitches tonight. Chernak, Sergachev, Perry. Uh, and then probably one of the more scary moments tonight was Steven Stamkos coming on and off the ice after deflecting in a shot. And then he also got, I believe he there was some belief at one point that he got cut by a skate on a very weird, awkward looking play. But glad to see that he's fine. Hopefully there's nothing lingering from that, and that won't affect him for the rest of the series, because it would really be a shame after the season that Steven Stamkos has had to see him kind of miss some time, which I feel at this point in time, just how determined he is, and what we've seen, how he has just improved with each cup win. Obviously not playing a whole ton in 2020 in the bubble, but only playing 5 minutes throughout the entire playoff stretch, but then going on and playing last year, and then as well as having a little bit of resurgence this year. So I think even if he were to get hurt in this game, I highly doubt there would be anything to keep him off the ice. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about this real quick before the break, but what really a fantastic performance from Bobrovsky in net for the Panthers. 27 of 29, save percentage of 931. He did a fantastic job tonight, really making the net look small for the Lightning. It was very tough for the Lightning to really get him out of position. He did a very good job of not overcommitting on any shots. The save of the game for him was obviously on that shot from Palat. Look, the net was completely open, and he comes and slides to his left and takes away the shot, takes away a potential goal. To be honest, not to take anything away from the effort and the performance, but on that shot, I would also, hate myself if I didn't say that. To be honest, as obviously that's going to be on the highlight reel for a couple of days until they play the next game, I don't think that was going in. And I know if Armando Velez from Locked On Panthers is watching this, he would very much disagree with me on that. But listen, you got to tip your cap to your opponents here and there. Um, and as well as on the other side of the ice for the Lightning, Andre Vasilevsky having, he's finally starting to get it together. 36 of 37 tonight. That one goal that happened earlier from Anthony Duclair. There's going to be moments like that. We already know. Oh, it was from Luosterainen. Sorry, Luosterainen. Just a weird goal that squeaks by you, but you know what? It happens. I mean, that's going to happen at certain points. No goalie is immune to that. And we know from Vasilevsky the kind of up and down season that we've seen from him this year, that he is at times more mortal. So we'll wrap things up and talk about expectations for Game 3 at home at Amalie in just a bit. But what I want to do is talk about our last sponsor of the day, and that is BetOnline. Now, our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs, sports info. Find all the latest odds, news, and sports developments, including this year's basketball playoffs, Major League Baseball scores, fights, and even next season's NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. I think this Lightning team is absolutely rolling. Like I said, playing probably the best brand of hockey, championship caliber hockey. And I would be shocked. Now we'll see once Game 3 rolls around. I'd be shocked if there's not a ton of bets on the money line for the Lightning, considering I think, like I said before, it looks like the general consensus is that social media, unless you're a Panthers fan, has pretty much given up on this Panthers team and is calling them a bunch of frauds. I beg to differ. I think there's still a lot of fight left in those cats, so we'll see. But head to the website today or use a mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. Bet online where the game starts. So once again, if you're watching us on YouTube, you're staying right here. But if you're listening to us on a social on an audio platform, you're coming back from the break now. Talking about Game 3, we have a couple of days to talk about that, but I don't know. I think it would really be irresponsible to sit here, especially with having Friday and Saturday off. It would be very irresponsible for this this Lightning team, and I doubt they would. But for us as viewers, it would be very irresponsible for us to go out there into the mindset thinking that this Lightning team has the series in the bag. Yes, the chances of you going on and winning a series up 2-0, especially going into Game 3 in your own building, the odds are mostly in your favor there. Obviously, crazier things have happened. Teams have come back from down games, from coming back from 0-2. It is possible. You're not the best team in the NHL for no reason. Panthers, the President's Trophy winners this year. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean anything. We've seen tons of President's Trophy winners, just not go on and do anything. I mean, look at the Lightning in 2019, and I know some of you may hate for me to continue to bring that up, but at the same time, you learn from your mistakes. This Lightning team has, and I'm sure, especially the guys who are the core players on this team, I'm sure every game at one point or another before the game, that runs into their head. Now it's probably not as something that they think about often, but it's definitely something that you think about. It pops into your head, especially when you kind of feel things to keep, start to sway not in your favor. But in Game 3, I would imagine that the Panthers are going to come out with a ton of energy. They're going to probably try and replicate the same exact thing we saw from Tampa in these first two games, and that is try and take the crowd out of it. The Lightning did a fantastic job of keeping their foot on the necks of this Panthers team by, whether it's scoring goals or not, or just making big hits early on, really challenging the Panthers early on, and thus through their play, silencing this this fan base, which, as we all know, Amalie is rocking throughout the playoffs. Amalie is rocking during the regular season. So, you know, I think that Tampa Bay fans, I think we all know at this point the Lightning, or well, not even know. We are used to the Lightning playing from behind very often. We're not Florida where they had the best, one of the if not the best, but one of the best records at home this season. So the fact that the Lightning went into their building, beat them 2 games in a row, and especially beating them in the fashion they did in game 2, last minute goal, that that is something that you're going to have to look forward to. I think I look forward to in terms of the play that you're going to see from Florida, because I really think to a certain extent, even though, like I said, Florida is probably going to go out there and they're going to try and take it to the Lightning really quickly. I think the Lightning, and as much, I'm not saying they shouldn't play aggressive, but they shouldn't stretch themselves too thin too early on. And I'll say, because if you that kind of play early on, when both teams are still trying to get a feel for each other, in terms of what kind of game this is going to be, I think that the Lightning shouldn't overextend themselves on the offensive side of things. Play counterattack hockey. Almost wait for them to throw the first punch and then catch them on their back heels and hit them right in the face. And I think that's the way that the Lightning are probably going to approach it. I wouldn't be shocked if we see a lot more set plays early on, in the early moments of the first period. I think, as we get to the middle half, the 10-minute mark, if the Panthers start to slow it down, I think that's when the Lightning should start to stretch it out, start to play more aggressive, a little bit more of a fast break mentality type hockey. Obviously, you always got to worry about Florida coming back and catching the Lightning on the odd man rush. So that's obviously something you got to worry about. But I think the Lightning are feeling confident. I think they're feeling confident in Vasilevsky, that they're going to be. I think you're going to see this Lightning team take a little bit more chances. You're going to see this Lightning team play a little bit more relaxed. I think the physicality and the intensity is obviously still going to be there, because we all know that John Cooper is, especially after what this team went through in Toronto, as well as the last couple of years, you have a good enough core to where they're not going to rest on their laurels. They're going to play relaxed, but they're not going to make stupid mental mistakes. And I think that is what's going to really put them over the edge, or put them in a very good position, at least, if they capitalize on the chances given to them, in going up 3-0 and possibly sweeping. Now, I don't think at all. I would, and I'm saying this right now, and maybe in the next couple of days, my opinion might change on this. I would be shocked, and I think that a ton of people would too as well. I would be shocked if we're sitting here Sunday night talking about the Lightning having a chance at a sweep. I would be very shocked. It's one of those things where it's not so much you're like, well, the Lightning are playing very well, and that's great. You want to see that. But, and I'll say why. And, I think part of the reason why I'm a little hesitant to be on sort of the bandwagon of, yeah, let's sweep them and relax. I think it would more be so like as a shock to, well, we thought this Panthers team was, just from a hockey pundit perspective, you would think that, this Panthers team was better than this. But I think that this Panthers team is still a very good hockey team. You just don't win and are just as successful during the regular season as this team is, and have nothing to show for it like this. Obviously, there's occasions when we do see this, and I don't want the Lightning to finish this series that fast. Obviously, I don't want this to go to 7. That would be an absolute nightmare, given that you had a 2-0 lead to start the series. But I think that this series, and maybe this is probably a little bit wishful thinking on my point too. I'm not rooting for the Lightning to lose, but I think you don't want this Lightning team sitting around because let's face it, that Carolina Rangers series, uh, I doubt that that will get done quickly. I think that'll be a series that will be done within 6 or 7 games. A tough loss for the Rangers in game one to Carolina. Rangers are a very good team right now, playing very well. That was a game that could have gone either way. And maybe at some point we'll talk about that. I mean, when the situation comes, they still got to win. The Lightning still need to win 2 more games for us to even have this conversation. But I don't like the idea of the Lightning. You want to see them play well and play consistently, and if they sweep, and we deal with it in that moment. But you're seeing it right now, and maybe you could read a little bit too much into this. I'm recording this while I got Colorado St. Louis on the background, and Colorado did win in overtime to St. Louis in game one. But right now it looks like St. Louis is dominating right now in the first period, outshooting them 11-5, and I don't that runs the risk of a team almost getting cold. In terms of they're obviously still practicing and they're doing this and that, but I think when it comes down to it's the mental aspect. You kind of get sluggish in certain things, and because we've spoken about it numerous times on this pod that really what it comes down to is that you can only replicate game speed as much as you can, especially in the playoffs. You don't want to overdo it and risk the chance of someone getting hurt. But we'll talk all of that later on. If it happens, we still have 2 wins before we could talk about this, but I'm very confident in the Lightning's chances, and hopefully over the next couple of days we won't hear any negative news in terms of players having prolonged injuries and this affecting them in game 3. So once again, give us a follow on our social media platforms, LO_Lightning on Twitter, as well as Locked_On_Lightning on Instagram. Give us a follow on our YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so as soon as a new episode drops, you'll be notified. So in the meantime, that's been it for this episode of Locked On Lightning, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Adam Danker. I'll talk to you next one.